Hey everyone. My name is Ilyas Yabaro, and I'm a Somali-American Muslim born right here in DC. I was raised in the area too, so really by all definitions, this is home. But my parents migrated from Somalia, a country off the coast of East Africa. Yes, you've probably heard about it in the news, and no, I don't want to hear your impersonation of "I'm the captain now." Yeah. Save it. But what I do want to do today is talk to you all about my journey as a Somali-American and how I fell in love with a country I've actually never been to. You see, my father's a journalist. And due to his career, my family had the opportunity to travel and live in several different countries. Yet, despite all of that travel, I still never had the chance to go back home. In fact, the closest I've ever been to feeling like I was back home was right here in the United States, in the great city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is, by the way, home to the largest number of Somalis in the United States. I noticed how prevalent the Somali community was immediately after I left the airport. No, I mean immediately after I left the airport because my Uber driver was Somali. Abdi, if you're listening, I gave you 5 stars, bro. But visiting Minneapolis reminded me of the idea of visiting back home because there are so many pockets in that city where there are tons of Somalis around you. Whether it's the teachers, the business owners, the doctors, the lawyers, the Uber drivers, even the kids outside playing in the park, chatting in their native tongue. And for me, that reaffirmed the very fabric of America. That whether you're in Little Italy in New York City, or Koreatown in Los Angeles, or Little Mogadishu in Minneapolis, America is made up of different communities that coexist as one. Now, today is about reactions. In my entire life, I've reacted to this feeling of loving a motherland that I've never seen. But these reactions came in several different forms. They came in the form of me falling in love with poetry, only to realize that I came from a long lineage of forefathers who were known for their Somali poems. It came in the form of my parents teaching my siblings and I the Somali language at an early age. And with that also came the teachings of Somali proverbs. Now, if you don't know by now, Somali people have a proverb for literally every instance in life. If you don't believe me, just talk to my father. In fact, I have one for you all today. It's one of my favorites, and it goes something like, Aqoon la'an wa iftiin la'an, which roughly translates to, a lack of knowledge is similar to a lack of light. Now, these reactions also came in the form of names. For example, my parents named one of my sisters Somalia. I kid you not, that's literally her name, and it's funny because I typically tell her to keep her ID with her because nobody ever believes it's her actual name. Now, most importantly, these types of reactions came in the form of my stage name, Alakkuu, which was given to me actually by my late grandmother. You see, when I was a toddler, we'd have visitors come over to the house. And my grandmother would look at me and tell me to tell them what my name was. I was about 3 or 4 at the time, and I couldn't say my name, Ilyas. So I would make up this word, Alakkuu, and I would refer to myself as such. And she found it absolutely hilarious. So my grandmother started to call me Alakkuu, even though it meant nothing at the time. But she started to call me Alakkuu as a pet name, but more importantly, as a form of endearment, even incorporating this name Alakkuu with many of her favorite Somali poems. And when I finally went public with my poetry, years after she passed away, I decided to release all of my work under the stage name Alakkuu in honor of my late grandmother. And the more I wrote poetry, the more I realized how the motherland to me was very similar to someone I had fallen in love with and never really had the chance to meet. Because writing about a land I've never been to, it's kind of like writing about a girl I've never met. Both intriguing, yet somewhat unapproachable. Both exhausted of defending themselves from rumors made by strangers, both torn, either from war or from words, sometimes even both tired. Both tired of people who never stay. I'm from a war-torn country with the most resilient of women, where one religion resides in the hearts of millions of children, palm trees, clear water, a land where retirement was made, known as the nation of poets. We've got poetry for days. And my mother. You know, when my mother was pregnant with her first daughter, she named her after the motherland. Because although she was no longer living in Somalia, Somalia was always living in her. And my grandmother, to my grandmother who never lived long enough to watch me perform, but gave me the poetic name Alakkuu that so many people know me for. I pray we meet again in a place high up so I could tell you about this moment and how it felt so amazing and how your little grandson Alakkuu never forgot about the nickname you gave him and how everywhere he went, he was living your truth. Because his love for that motherland was inherited from you. But for now, writing about a land I've never been to is exactly like writing about that girl I've never met. We've never really hung out, but somehow you are all I've ever known.